Hi, my name's AJ,
And I'm Jason. We're from the band Conversation.
and you're watching the Sit Down Podcast.
Have you heard about our new radio station? It's called Funky Moose Radio, where we play alternative and indie rock, sprinkle in some blues and Americana. We feature the music from our guests on this podcast at least once per hour. These songs can be in any genre. We're working on getting the station on every mobile app available, but the easiest way to listen is at funkymooseradio.ca. You should also become a VIP because we'll be giving away some prizes. Again, check it out at funkymooseradio.ca.
Hello, gentlemen, and welcome back, AJ. How's it going, my dude? Good to see you, buddy.
We still didn't get the whole conversation about this whole AJ thing.
Yeah, we did.
Oh my gosh.
No, he kept saying it's a work thing, and that's how we.
A work in progress.
Wow.
So Jason, I'll fill Jason in here if he doesn't know. So Andrew has been on the show prior, with another band he used to be with, and in that episode, I've only known him as Andrew, right?
Yeah.
But in that episode, he had introduced himself as AJ. So it was like, well, what the fuck? Like, where does that come from?
Even the other band members were like, "Since when do you go by AJ?"
Yeah, and then so. Correct me if I'm wrong, AJ, but doesn't it have something to do with like your middle name?
Yes. So technically it still is a work. Well, it was a work thing. But after like what was it? When I joined my old band, the first fall of shows and touring we had, my grandpa, who my middle name was named after, passed away at the beginning of that fall, and anyone who's gotten to know me over since the fall of 2019, I just call myself AJ as a honorarium, if you will.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Right
that's
on.
why I'm reference AJ, yeah.
So yes, I want to thank you guys for joining us. I'll be dead honest with you, Jason. I had no bloody idea who Conversation was until AJ moved out in your direction there. So I had the privilege of listening to some of the album today. I think we got, 4 or 5 songs in?
Yep.
So forgive us, I do not know the names of the songs. It was just kind of playing and rolling into the next one sort of thing. But can you, how about we start with you telling us how you guys found AJ?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great story. So, as you mentioned, AJ was playing in a band called Alien to the Ignorant, and they were on a cross-Canada tour in the fall of 2021, and we played together at a joint in Hamilton, Ontario called The Absinthe, and all the boys, particularly AJ, got along really well, so we kept in touch. Fast forward to earlier this year, and AJ is starting to reach out to a bunch of the folks from the show, including members of my band, and just starting to say, I'm thinking about maybe moving to Ontario, I was thinking maybe Toronto or Hamilton or whatever. And around that time, our former drummer who had just told us that he was going to be moving to the West Coast, and we were like, okay, AJ, you should move to Toronto, and hey, do you want to maybe join this band when you get here? And it just went from there. So, and then, fast forward to the summer, he came and visited for a week, and, we had a bit of an audition. Prior to that, he'd been sending us a bunch of videos, like him playing along to our music, and it was all excellent. And then that week in late June just really sealed it. And ever since then, AJ's been part of Conversation.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Sweet.
Awesome. After listening to the music today, it's kind of hard for me to call you AJ. I'm trying so hard not to call you Andrew, so forgive me. But, dude, after listening to the music today, I feel like it's such a good fit for you, man. How we know each other, how I know you, it's
yeah.
completely right up your alley, dude. And I'm very, very happy for you. So congratulations on that. And I wish you guys all the best of luck in it. And I hope you guys are kicking holes in the fucking sky out there, dude.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Joel. I really appreciate it. You know how things have been in the last little while. It's been how many years since I was on the podcast? So much has changed since that first episode, right?
That would have been
Definitely.
2 years.
Well, a year and a half, 2 years ish.
Yeah.
I think.
Because like the last time I was on the show, this is kind of more relevant now, because you know a bunch of people I'm going to be talking about in a second. But at that time, like I was in ATI, going through I think the second EP release, and then I joined the Radiance in the spring of that 2020 year, and then COVID, touring, and then you've seen me go from Alien to Ignorant to doing a bunch of other projects and so forth and so on. It's been a massive change, and you guys have grown huge in the last 3 years here. Like everywhere I've looked in Saskatchewan, like as far as the Hour Hand and seeing you guys interviewing a bunch of these massive artists, and even having the festival come up now in the last 2 years has been huge. And I gotta say, I'm very proud of you guys, especially now that I get to see it from an outside view.
Dude, thank you so much.
Thanks,
it's so much fun, dude. It's so much fun. We're not stopping anytime soon. We got so many things in the pipe for sure. Just waiting to be smoked, dude. So, Jason, can you tell us a little bit more in depth? Let's call it like maybe an origin story of Conversation, like who you guys are and how it began.
For sure. So it actually started quite a long time ago in the mid 2000s, where Timothy and Eric, who are actually founding members of the band, were playing together on the West Coast in Victoria, British Columbia. They were playing together for a few years. I kind of refer to it as like the original iteration of Conversation. That happened for a few years. It kind of disintegrated. Tim moved to Toronto in 2012, I want to say. And he put an ad on Craigslist looking for musicians to reform the band in Toronto. And I, of course, answered the ad, hauled my Ibanez Iceman and my little practice amp over to his house in Toronto and auditioned. And that's how he found me. Fast forward some years, our other guitar player, Pat, he used to play in a band called Party Cat, who they were like mainstays in the hardcore scene for many years. They did a lot of Canada and US tours. He had just left that band, and we were looking for a guitar player at that time. This was 2016. So of course we nabbed him up as fast as we could. The other like really great origin story part of Conversation in Toronto is Eric, our bass player. So as I mentioned, he was in the previous iteration of Conversation in Victoria. After Tim moved to Toronto, he found some players, myself included, and another drummer, but we didn't have a bass player yet. So he called Eric, who's still living in Victoria at the time. He's like, Eric, move to Toronto with me, play in this band, like playing, the new iteration of Conversation. He's like, man, you're crazy. Like, I have my own life out here. Call me, and like Tim was like pushing him. So Eric's like, okay, call me when you have like the rest of the lineup. Call me when you have like an EP's worth of songs ready and you're like playing gigs. And Tim was like, all right. So fast forward like 3-4 months, all this stuff happens. He calls Eric back. He's like, hey, guess what? I did everything that you told me to do. And so you're going to move to Toronto now, right? He's like, ah, shit. So he takes a few weeks to get his life in order. He buys a 12-seater van that was our band van for a number of years, and moves his life across the country. And that's all the members, and including AJ, of course. So.
Oh wow!
Holy shit!
Wow!
Man of his word, though.
No doubt.
Yeah,
I can't.
exactly.
I'm just thinking about how shitty that drive from one coast to the next would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's like Eric's done the drive now. When Tim called him, when he had the full lineup, everything was like explained out. I think he moved out. Was it within a week? He said, Jay.
It was really quick.
Like it was really fast. Like he had a van within a week from the phone call, and
Yeah.
probably within a month he moved out there. And then before the drummer before me, his name's Yoda. Before Yoda joined the band, he actually came out with um,
The drummer
Conversations
before
old.
that.
The drummer before that, they both previous two drummers before me both drove out from also from Victoria and like a Astro van across the country a few months prior to Eric driving out in a van back out to Toronto.
Yeah.
I
So
like
as
it
you can
seems.
see, we have a long history of importing band members from out of province.
Right on. Can you guys fill us in a little bit? So because we're so far away from you both or from the band, like tell us a little bit about the music scene in Toronto. I've only been to Toronto once in my life. I was there for a couple days and I didn't get to see any live music or anything. It was some silly conference that I had to go to and whatever. The plane ride was cool, but I mean, I didn't get to do anything fun when I was there, dude. So I have no idea what the scene is like out there.
I
Okay,
think
so
it's good.
maybe
Yeah, Jay, you go start
yeah,
first because you've technically you're a resident of Ontario and you've grown with
that's
it.
true. Born and raised.
Yes,
So the
no
music
pun
scene in
intended.
Toronto, the music scene in Toronto is vast. It has all of the genres fairly well represented, and so in one sense, you have plenty of opportunity to come, regardless of the genre you play in, and there's going to be plenty of shows and plenty of other bands for you to play with. But on the other hand, it's fairly crowded, right? It's not like, maybe some other bigger cities in Canada that have like particular genres that they know are quite hot in those cities. So it can both feel like immense with a lot of opportunities, but also very crowded and hard to like break through and make a name for yourself. But it's great. Like having said that, there's no other place that I'd rather be to make this music or any music, to be honest with you.
Right, right.
And how is adapting for you, AJ?
Oh my gosh. Well,
Because
I think
the city you're from is not that big.
no. Well, I mean, I'm born and raised in Prince Albert, like where you guys are, near where you guys live.
Yeah.
But how I say it, because I mean, I'm lucky enough that I'm in conversation because it's given me a jump start on getting to do shows and playing as a musician out here in Toronto. How would I begin to start it? Like I think it's because of my experience with conversation, I've had a lot of fortunate opportunities to play some like iconic venues and to do some like we shot a music video a few weeks ago at the Hard Luck. I live right down the block from this iconic venue called Sneaky D's. My first week I was here, what was it? Me and Jason went to go see a couple of like iconic hardcore bands like Stick to Your Guns, Kublai Khan, Koyo. Within like the first 3 days, um,
I was at the
the
Opera House.
the Opera House, and then the following Tuesday we went to go see Spirit Box, Mastodon, and Ghost because Tim and Eric turns out have known Courtney and Mike from Spirit Box since they were in Victoria because they used to play shows together way back in the day, 10 something years ago.
Holy shit.
So we got tickets to go watch them and meet up with some of the guys from Spirit Box. And then the day after that, I think we went to go have like a little mini interview with Download Records, which is one of the larger indie hardcore rock record labels here in the country. Like that.
And most notably, Alexis on Fire's label. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, City and Color and Jimmy Eat World and stuff like that.
Oh
Yeah.
hell yeah, dude! Right
Yeah,
on. I'm
most
curious to
recently,
know
yeah.
how did that go?
Well,
I think-
Jason, actually,
yeah.
this would be a great opportunity for you to kind of explain how that came about. Because at the time when I came up for my week to audition and hang out, these guys also just won like a Battle of the Bands competition sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I can explain. It's a competition called Rock Search. It's an annual competition held by a radio station in southwestern Ontario called 97.7 Hits FM. And its past notable winners include Finger 11, The Trues. More recently, there's Glorious Sons. So, yeah, we kind of entered the competition. Were successful in winning this year. And one of the prizes that we won was an opportunity to have some meetings with the A&R folks at Dynna Records. And those meetings, we've had a couple, and they've been really great. Like, the guys at Dynna are super nice, super generous with their time. We basically were just bouncing ideas off of them, like, hey, so we're thinking about doing this next year, or like, oh, we have all this music, like, what if we did it, like, packaged it this way or that way? And they're like, yeah, we like that. Maybe don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
it's great.
Hell yes. No,
Congratulations.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
How many songs did you guys get to play in that competition?
So it was like a 20-minute set.
Okay.
Yeah. True Battle
on.
of the Bands, like, quick set, yeah.
Okay, so out of that set, which song in your opinion, would you say you guys performed the best? Or, like, which one was the most fun for you out of that set that you can recall?
That's a great question. Well, I would probably say Lessons and I'm More Savant Than Soldier, being that those were part of the kind of, like, audition tracks that we submitted first to be picked for the competition, and then subsequently, because it was a radio station that's putting on the competition, so as the winners this year, they put both of those two songs on rotation afterwards.
Nice.
So,
hell yeah, dude.
They've been resonating pretty well, I think.
And they've been hitting hard with the shows we've been playing the last little while as well. Like, they're generally like the more, I would call them, accessible songs for conversation, and they're really, really a lot of fun to play. They've been creating a good amount of mosh pits, let's say that.
Yeah. And
what's the name of them again?
So the first one's called Lessons, and it's more of like a slower, groovier kind of, like, it's got like a heavy kind of outro.
It's Deftonesy
to it.
Deftonesy.
It's Deftonesy, yeah.
Okay.
And then there's I'm More Savant Than Soldier. It's a more techie. It's like architecty. It's but it's got this, really big hooky chorus to it. So it really showcases, like, the two extremes of our range quite well.
Nice.
And what's the name of that radio station?
97.7.
Yeah, that's the dial, the FM dial, but they're kind of like marketing name is like Hits FM, HTZ-FM.
So when you first mentioned hits, I was like, hits? That's usually a pop station. And with all due respect, your music is not poppy.
But it is a hit.
It is a hit, I
Hey,
guess.
do you guys are you guys okay if we spin Lessons right here, right now for the audience?
Hell yeah.
Bring it up.
All right, let's give it a go. Sorry for the interruption, you guys. I just wanted to tell you guys about Muse Canada. They're a new arts and entertainment media connection and support network. Skip the algorithms of social media and connect with other entertainment professionals across Canada. Sign up today for $5 a month or use the promo code FunkyMoose2021 for 10% off. That is FUNKYMOOSE 2021 for 10% off. Back to the show.
Those two songs really showcase our range as a band.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
It's something
So
that we pride ourselves in. Like, honestly, just having, we're obviously in the post-hardcore genre, punk rock genre, but yeah, we really like to kind of push the boundaries at either end. Having some songs that are a bit slower and groovier, whereas, other songs are fast, in your face, blistering. So, yeah, it's something we
Right.
really enjoy to do.
No doubt.
So the music video you're doing, or you did a couple of weeks ago, which
Yes.
song was that?
So it was for just recently released a new single, as the oceans moved, and we shot it at Hard Luck, which is I would call it like a staple rock venue here in Toronto. It's a venue on the like a second or third floor of a business building on Dundas, which is near downtown. And it wasn't essentially it'll be released soon, probably when the podcast come out. It'll roughly either just be being finished editing, or it'll be released at this point. But it's a full-on performance video. We shot it with our buddy Dylan Gold from Stay Golden Media, I think it's what his company's name is. And we've seen the first cuts, and it's just absolutely intense. It's the only word I could use to describe it.
Nice. Very cool.
Now I want to see that video.
Yeah, well, keep an eye out for, like, you guys out there watching or listening. Definitely look it up, see if it's out.
Yeah.
If it's out when this episode is coming out, the link will be in the description to this episode for sure. Now, a question I have, because I'm not familiar with Toronto that much, when you guys are like, do you guys book your own gigs, or do you have like a booking agent that takes care of all that stuff for you?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of that ourselves. Yeah, we're a very DIY band.
Right.
Very, very DIY. Like,
Well, and-
Very DIY.
And how many in total are in the, like, how many members in the band in total?
Five
Five.
people.
5. Right. So I'm presuming that each individual has like their own tasks that they take care of to kind of diversify it, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
roughly. Like, there's some guys, like, for example, with at least booking in the recent amount of months, like, being that Tim and Eric have been around the longest, they tend to take a lead on a couple of things. Like, Tim is the kind of your perfect people person, I would say. He's the guy who's been mostly, Jason and Tim, for that matter, are booking most of the majority of shows we've done in the last season, and we'll probably continue to book going into the new year. And then Eric his specialty is based in design. So a lot of our promo stuff, artwork, and so forth and on will be usually stuff he's put together. Even the promotional video that we put up for when I joined the band, or made the official announcement I joined the band.
Yeah,
He's the one that
you were delivered.
Yeah, I was delivered in a box. Like,
Yeah.
Eric shot that in like the middle of October, and then he had that edited within, I think, a couple of days.
Nice.
And he's kind of our idea man. And then Patty, who is our other guitarist, is our what do you call it? Like, our architect for writing songs. Like, he's usually the guy that will generate a majority of song ideas and concepts. And I think within the last 2 weeks, since we just started writing, and it's the end of show season, we just started writing. Me, Pat, and Jason have put together roughly about 3 songs worth of material already since we
nice.
started. So, which is insane with the amount of time we've had, because we only have like nights a week, and we
Right.
got 3 songs down.
Frickin' A, dude. I have to
Cool.
ask you, have you been getting any flack for wearing that Saskatchewan Rough Rider sweater?
Oh,
in
dude,
those photos?
I had a knife pulled on me in Hamilton.
Are you
Because
serious?
of that jersey?
Yeah, well, because so you guys know that Hamilton has been like taken down by Saskatchewan Rough Riders like 3 or 4 times in like really, really close cut like games.
Yep.
And me, Jason, and our friend Meg went to go see, who was it? Cancer Bats
Cancer
and
Bats.
Comeback Cat
Comeback
in
Kid.
Hamilton
Yeah.
at the warehouse in Hamilton. And we pulled up. I think I made it through halfway through the night, and we had to leave the venue to go grab food or something like that. And people were just like, there was one guy just walking outside the venue, and he says, "What are you doing wearing that?" And just he didn't pull a knife on me, but he started hinting at like stuff and showed me that he had a knife on him. It's like, whoa,
Holy
okay,
moly.
I'm leaving.
Dude, you didn't tell me about that night. Holy moly.
That's crazy.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
So don't mess with folks in Hamilton is the takeaway from
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't.
my
I,
dude.
I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was getting. I was being like threatened.
Right.
And I went to go talk to one of the bartenders after the show was done. I was like, "Oh yeah, so by the way, don't wear that because people are like have a hatred for Saskatchewan Roughriders in Hamilton."
Oh man, I would even go as far as to say is you should wear a fucking Rough Rider jersey every show, dude. As you're playing, just have.
I have a Saskatchewan flag from the Caitlin Leonard show that I was actually going to try and toss up my kick drum for my first show in Oshawa. And I was like,
Oh,
after
dude.
that, I was like, I was going to wait on it.
Maybe
Like,
not.
probably different crowd. Maybe when I come back out west, but yeah, it was.
God.
Yeah, I've had stuff in preparation for that, and since then I've barely worn my jersey and the flag that I've gotten from the Caitlin show.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Welcome to Hamilton. Sheesh.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that show you did, AJ, at the
Oh, dear.
Mosaic?
Yeah.
That was
dear.
for those of you watching or listening. So the last show that AJ was performing in Saskatchewan was it? Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it was the Labor Day Classic,
Yeah, you got it.
the halftime
So,
show.
Yeah. Man, I'm just trying to recollect my thoughts on that. That was, I mean, just this year has been particularly very, very strange because I left, it started off with me leaving Alien to the Ignorant and then surprisingly getting this opportunity to possibly join Conversation. After all said and done, I've gone and done like my own solo project stuff and all that, and getting a different job so I could at least start saving up some money to move to Toronto. That last month of August was particularly difficult because I had lost my job. I was entirely making money off of gigs I was doing and just scraping by and pulling whatever I could and saving left, right, and center, sometimes sleeping in my car to save a buck. But that particular time when that gig came up, it was very strange because I just went to go see my first Rough Riders game, and I was walking outside the venue with my family, and I said just because I had a weird, funny feeling that I might be able to play it someday, that, tell you what, I'll be able to play Mosaic someday. And the next week, I started recording the covers I'm just starting to release of the conversation stuff, the conversation videos I have up on Instagram. And I was talking with Simon from Bees Knees Recording, and he said, like, yeah, so Caitlin just locked in this really sweet gig. She's doing the halftime show for the Rough Riders. I said, that's awesome. Who's playing? Because as you know, like Colton Kimbley, you guys know very well. He's the drummer for Caitlin Leonard, and turns out he couldn't make it because he was playing one of our mutual friends' weddings at that time, and is like, oh, well, that's interesting. You have Colton, who you have in mind, and at the time, I think it was one of the Johnner brothers, like the younger ones, who was filling in at the time. Is like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I was feeling a little guilty, oh, I wish I could have gotten that gig. And I had one last show left with St. Vicious, and on the way to that show, I was messaged, you know what? Just because you never know what might happen, I texted Simon and said like, hey, if you ever need anybody for a backup for the backup, I haven't booked my flights yet for Toronto, and I'd be happy to jump in. That following weekend, on my way to my drive to Edmonton for an emo night I was supposed to be doing. This is the end of August. I got a phone call from Summit like 8:30 in the evening. Hey, so our backup fell through. Can you do the gig? And I took a minute to respond, and I said yes, let's do it. And it's like I have maybe like at this time I had to be moving out of my house, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out. Let's do it. So, anyways,
Right.
fast forward about like a week and a half. I had to move out of my house. I had to move back to Saskatchewan. I slept in my car 2 or 3 times. I finished my gig in Edmonton, and I get like 2 rehearsals in, and we drive up to Regina on Sunday morning. We pull up to the back of the stadium, load our stuff onto the stage, and you just kind of you can't help but sit and just stare at the stadium, because when you have like you're looking straight down and there's still seats, and you're looking upwards and there's still seats, it's like, oh hi, this is we feel like we're in over our heads. But they treated us very, very kindly, and we were shown around. We had like what do you call it, like box seats at the back of the stadium. We got to stay for the entire game. My family came out. All our friends and family of the band came out as
Nice.
well. They provided
Dude.
hotels. It was the whole 10 yards. And then like once we got up on once the halftime came along, it's like, oh, like it's time. And we were told that we have like 13 minutes to play, no more, no less. And they just kind of flew by, and I can't explain the feeling of what it's like to seeing your face on like a 1,500 foot
No,
mega
no
screen.
doubt. You had went, dude. I watched you. You were live on Instagram when you were playing that day, dude. And I was tuned in. I think I was at the lake watching it. There was a little bit of a delay there, but my dude, I was so freaking happy for you, man. I thought that was kick ass, dude. I was very happy for you.
It was probably the most bizarre and tribunal, what do you call it? It was the best way I could have possibly left Saskatchewan. That's all I can say.
No doubt, no doubt. And then that all kind of came together within like 2 weeks. Just
Yeah,
from the time you're like telling your parents, I'm gonna play here one day. Fast forward 2 weeks, and there you are.
Ta-da.
It wasn't something that was even on my bucket list, and it just ended up happening. And within the
I
last
love
2
it.
weeks before, I was like,
That's
oh,
awesome.
I'm leaving my friends and family and my whole life behind. Is perfect, great. This is the best way I could end, living my time in Saskatchewan for the time being.
Oh my dude, I think that's another stamp on how you should be wearing that jersey with pride, man. Some rider pride, dude.
Have you been to the new Mosaic?
The last time I went to a football game in Regina was
With me? On that bus?
oh fuck, I forgot about that. Maybe once or twice after, but yeah, kind of in that vicinity. Dude, that was there was this one morning. Mark had an extra ticket to get a bus ride from Prince Albert to Regina
Yes.
for a game, and fucking I was still using at that time, and I was so fucking hungover the next morning. Like I barely remember. I think I like threw up on the bus on the way there, and dude, it was just crazy. Not my proudest moments, but the game was good. We won that game, didn't we?
We did. That was
Yeah.
the Western Final, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, enough about the Rough Riders.
Yes.
Really? Really? Or should we talk
Yeah.
some more about it?
No.
Oh my gosh, man.
So how about walk us through like some of the shows that you guys have done in the last couple months, and like I want to know more about that Toronto scene.
Yeah.
So have you how regular does Conversation get to take the stage out there?
We try to play Toronto, every 3-4 months. It's the thing. Like I said, Toronto has got a lot going on, but you still don't want to play too often. You want your fans to be stoked to come back to see you play. So what can I say about the Toronto scene, AJ already said a lot about some of the great venues, but there's one
Yeah.
that he has yet to mention, which is the Bovine Sex Club.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And this is like one of those iconic Toronto dive bar venues. Um, and I'll say for the folks probably in your neck of the woods that may not know about it, it's not actually a sex club. It's just the name. It's actually just a music venue slash bar. But it's one of the probably like the most grimy yet like most homey,
CBGB.
inviting. Yeah, it's very CBGB. Yeah. So anyway, this is where we played most recently on our run of three shows that we did at the end of November. We played a sold out night there with our pals in the band Judgment. And it was a lovely little homecoming that we had after kind of the momentum that we picked up after winning Rock Search in June and having AJ join the band shortly thereafter.
Hell
Um,
yeah, dude.
yeah,
So
it was great.
if you don't want to play in Toronto too much, where are the recent places you've been playing?
Right. So yeah, we played. We oftentimes play all throughout Ontario. Um, We now, since having won Rock Search, that radio station we mentioned is based in St. Catharines, which is very close to Niagara, which is close to the border there with New York. And so we played a show there on that short run of shows that we did at this place called The Warehouse. It's a lovely little venue. We played there and had a great crowd out of folks that a lot of them who'd heard us from the radio station.
Oh, nice.
And then we also played out in Oshawa, which is just about 45 minutes to an hour east of Toronto. Um, and yeah, that's the home turf of our pals there in Judgment, and we played an awesome gig at the Biltmore Theater there. Had
300
like
people. It was great.
yeah, yeah, it was great. Um, Great stage. Um, yeah, it was just a great time. And so that was our run of shows that we did most recently. But yeah, throughout the years, like we've definitely accumulated a lot of like kind of venues that we've played elsewhere. Like so out in Ottawa, we've played at DeCuff and Maverick. Um, where else? Montreal. We've played at Club Soda. Yeah, just great. Like so many great venues to play if you have the willingness and the gas money to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there a highlight venue that makes you go, I want to go back there because that was awesome?
I don't know, AJ, do you have one?
Well, I mean, so we did like a couple of demo shows, let's call them, before we started the November run. Um, what was it? I particularly liked the Warehouse in St. Catharines, specifically based off the fact that it kind of reminded me of, this would be relevant to people who are from Saskatoon, but playing at Amigos. Um, Biltmore Theater was the first show, and it was my first large show with Conversation. It felt like I was playing Coors Event Center back in Saskatoon. Um, what else was there? There was we had we have a buddy who lives in a place called Blackstock, and he did his birthday party at their town hall. And even though it wasn't like a massive crowd, like you're out in the middle of the brush. You're in you're in the forest essentially. It's super DIY, very punk DIY. Kind of has some sentimental roots for me because I like doing those kind of intimate shows. I feel I'd love to play Blackstock again, even if it's just for enjoyment.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was like playing the
Yeah,
Lions Club. It was like
yeah,
playing the Lions Club. Yeah, it's like Blackstock, Ontario is like a very, very small town, of which there are many in Ontario, and no doubt also, I'm sure, in Saskatchewan. But
Yeah.
yes,
it's yeah, like we have a very good friend, Brett Lavender, who we've known for a very long time, based in the Oshawa music scene. And he's been in several bands, and still is in several bands out that way. And he's just been very gracious, and we've played a lot of shows with his bands in Oshawa over the years. So, yeah, it was really lovely having him invite us up there and play for his birthday and a bunch of his friends. And just, it was basically just a show, but like the number of us who, partake, we just got absolutely shit-faced in this Lions Club.
15 minutes. How about we go and drop another song in here for the listeners, if you guys are okay with that? Anyone?
Yeah.
Which one would you like us to feature?
AJ, what was the hardest song to learn?
There you go. The hardest one to learn.
That's the one we're playing.
Okay. I mean, I will
He's
say
like,
there's.
AJ's like, they're all fucking easy, dude, because
Well,
he's a pro.
no. Okay, hold on a second. Hold up. Actually, the funny side of that is actually when we first started rehearsing the songs, man, I got my butt whooped. And I gotta give credits to Yoda, the old drummer, because he wrote some great parts in these songs, but to get the feel right is very, like, it's tedious, and you have to keep up that pace so you can play the songs correctly. As far as, like, the most difficult, there was 2 songs that came to mind, but because I love this song in particular, I can play The Outlaw.
Right on. All right, here it is for you guys. That's actually that was the first one that we listened to.
I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
It's the one that has the most views or streams on Spotify.
And that's exactly why I chose that as my first one, right? I was like, oh, this one seems to be. I think it was at it's like at 182,400 and some. Dude, that's fucking amazing. How long has that song been released for?
So that one has been released for about 4 years. No, 3 years. 3 and a bit years. Yeah.
Is there is there a specific reason why the listening count is significantly higher on that one as opposed, like, I'm not saying the other ones are bad because they're not. I'm just saying this one's got like a significant bump on top of the others, right?
Did you push those harder or something?
Like why would that be?
So you gotta give credit where credit's due to that Spotify playlist. So we were on the Crash Course Spotify playlist right from the very time that the EP was dropped that had that song on it. So it just over the years has just accumulated a steady like influx of plays thanks to that.
Cool.
Right.
And is that something that's also DIY, or did you hire someone to make that happen?
Like to market it or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we did. We worked with a few PR companies. So like I mentioned, we had released that off of an EP back in 2019, and we worked with a company called Big Picture, based in New York, and they helped us access a lot of great coverage as well as that Spotify playlist ad too. Yeah.
Well, there was on top of that, there's a couple of like magazines that got on, or magazines and websites that got on too. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like a lot of rock magazines, but magazines like Revolver, Alternative Press. What else was there that I'm missing here, Jason?
Yeah, those are the two big ones.
Two big ones.
Exclaim.
There was Canadian
Exclaim.
Beats, which has been releasing a lot of stuff. Exclaim as well.
Exclaim, yeah. Toronto, sweethearts, yeah.
I get those. Do you get those?
Yeah, there's one on my desk.
Exclaim
one.
Exclaim has a wide print kind of footprint, as I came to realize recently. I've always obviously known and seen them around because they are based in Toronto, and we actually have a few folks that we know really well that have worked there and still work there.
Nice.
But yeah, I was just like kind of looking them up a few months ago, being like, yeah, Exclaim. Like, I was gonna look into them a little bit. Like, it was when we were about to release this record, right? And so I was like, I wonder what like their reach is like. And I was like, holy moly, they have like a cross Canada like distribution.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you bet. How frequent do they like? Because I feel like I only get one every couple months, every few months.
It's every quarter, I believe.
So like 4 a year.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Then that makes sense.
I had a conversation once with them to help with distribution.
Yeah.
Where I would just put them in the boxes that we ship out.
Yeah, I feel like if I go back in some of my notes, I think they were on one of those lists of people that I want to reach out to try and get some type of connection going there too.
Yep.
And then that's as far as I went. I like just wrote down Exclaim, and then it just kind of stayed there.
Exclaim.
Yeah.
Let us know. Like I said, we know only a few folks there. We can help
yes.
that up.
Well, I'm letting you know right now.
Yeah, we'll let you know right now if you have any connections at Exclaim. Dude, we could even maybe ask and see if we could get one or two of those people on the show.
Yeah.
And talk about the magazine.
Do it.
That'd be
I live
cool.
down the block from their HQ.
Yeah.
Oh, walk in one time and say, hey, these Funky Moose guys, you need to hook up.
Send out a few business cards. I'll put it in their mailbox.
There you go.
Done.
I like it.
Done.
Done and done. Well, you guys, I will have to let you go here, but I do want you both to know, well, the whole band, even for the ones that are not here, that we appreciate the shit out of you guys. Andrew, we love you, man, to death.
I love you guys too.
Yeah, it's AJ, he says. And we're going to keep an eye on you guys from afar here and know that this door is always open. If you guys ever got something to promote or plug or whatever, just hit us up, man. The door, welcome to the herd, man. You guys are welcome here anytime you want.
Thank you. You guys are very appreciated. You guys know I love you guys a lot. I'm also very proud of you guys that you guys are getting that Capital open mic gig as well. I'm excited for you guys to see what you guys do with that. That's gonna be huge. And all I can say is within the next year, expect to see us come through the West Coast.
Fucking A, dude. And you know damn well I'm going to be there front row and center.
Oh, I'm holding you to it. I'm holding you to it, mate.
Gonna meet you in
I'll sling your merch. Yeah, there you go. I'll run your merch table for you. I'm kind of going on a little hot streak with those.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, you guys. So thank you.
Thank you.
Come back soon.
We'll see you again.
Thank you very much. Love you guys very, very, very much.